Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for the Cowboy 100 and 200. This is our third year. It's going to be the biggest and baddest year of Cowboy yet. We've got about 125 runners between the two races. I think that the previous biggest year was like 85 runners. So this is going to be awesome. Thank you all. We're going to jump right into this so it doesn't take that long. We're going to go over a few things that might not be in the runner's manual, or just a few things that we think that we might need to touch on a little bit more. But please read the runner's manual. If you haven't already, there has been a few updates just in the last week. So I would recommend reading it one more time, whether you've read it or not. All right. First of all, we'll start with the schedule. We'll only go over a few things. We're not going to read the entire schedule to you, but as far as shuttle times and stuff like that, Casey will touch on those.
For the 200-mile shuttle, the shuttle before the race on Thursday leaves the Niobrara Lodge at 2:30 p.m. Please be on time. There hasn't been a single year yet that the shuttle has left on time. Please be on time so that nobody else has to wait on you. The shuttle driver has been instructed not to wait on you, so depending on if he's nice or not, he may or may not.
Last year we told him not to wait.
Last year we
but
told
he
him not
did.
to.
We're going to tell him this year again not to wait. So if you're not there on time, he should be leaving you.
Correct.
And then it's on you to figure out your own way.
Yes, the shuttle will take you directly to the Norfolk Lodge where we will be having packet pickup. Feel free to go check into your room first if you'd like before you come to packet pickup, and then come back down, whatever's easiest for you. Friday morning, we're making a little bit of an adjustment to the shuttle time in the morning because there are so many of you. We're going to have the shuttle leave the hotel at 5 a.m. instead of 5:15 a.m. That way we have plenty of time to get you situated and get your trackers on you before we do our pre-race spiel about 10 minutes till the race starts. For you 100-mile runners who have gotten a hold of me and got on the post-race shuttle, that is leaving Bolo Beer at 5 p.m. on Sunday sharp. If you're not there, ready to get on, you're getting left as well.
We've had runners that have been sleeping in Bolo Beer when that has left, and then they were mad at us because
they got left.
If you're sleeping, you know what time it leaves. It's leaving on time. So if you miss it, again, that's up to you to find your own way back.
That's what shuttle times.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the GPX. In the last 2 years, we've only required the GPX for the 200 milers because they're the ones who have the majority of the reroutes. The 100 does have a reroute in there. But for this year, because we've had so many issues with 100 milers getting off course somehow, we're going to require 100 milers to also have the GPX. We haven't really had any trouble at all with 200 milers.
Good job, guys.
Getting off course. So good job, guys. But 100 milers we did. We had a 100 miler go onto private property last year and get a gun pulled on him. At night, he was roaming around in private property with a headlamp on, so we're not really surprised that he got a gun pulled on him in rural Nebraska. We're just kind of surprised he didn't get shot. So please don't do that. If we hear that you get off course and you're on private property, whether you get back on course or not, we're going to disqualify you because we can't have our runners on private property. We had the cops call us. They were not happy. It's super easy to stay on course. I think this runner was a little out of it. So just make sure you're paying attention to your GPX. You're following the Cowboy Trail almost the entire time except for a couple reroute sections. A couple of times you cross the highway. So at packet pickup, you will be required to show us that you have the GPX and that you know how to use it. I'm not going to tell you how we're going to ask to show us that you know how to use it. Just know how to use it, and then you don't have to worry about anything. Markings. We mark basically with flags and ribbons for the most part. Sometimes we have some signage out there as well, but plan on, at the minimum, some flags and ribbons sporadically on sections that are reroutes. As far as going along the Cowboy Trail is concerned, I mean, it's a straight trail that's like 10 feet wide, and it's very difficult to get off of it. I don't know how you could ever get off of it. That's not going to be marked. The reroutes will be marked, and turns will be marked
in
as
the
well.
town at aid stations.
Yep, turns in town, aid stations, things like that. Very few issues with people ever getting off course in the past, like I said. What else? I think
I'll go to the next one.
I think that's about it as far as markings and the GPX are concerned.
One more thing I wanted to touch on for the race schedule. Race morning, make sure you arrive early enough to get your tracker assigned to you and get that on and make sure it's working. And I say early enough, we are starting the pre-race video 10 minutes ahead of time, or pre-race speech 10 minutes ahead of time. We will not be assigning trackers after that time. So if you want to not be rushed, I suggest sitting there about 45 minutes before the race starts in order to not be rushed. I'm going to go into some information about DNFing. If you need to DNF for any reason during a race, there is a number on your bib for a text only. If you are crewed, uncrewed, doesn't matter. Please let us know. That way we're not looking for you. And you'll also need to turn in your tracker back to the closest aid station. That number is for emergencies. If you get lost, if you have a medical emergency, things like that, that's what that number is for.
It's not because you're tired and you don't want to
keep going
and get to the next aid station. If you need to DNF, you should try very hard to get to the next aid station, rather than just, hey, I'm not going to make the cutoff time. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I have 6 miles left before the next aid station. I don't want to go anymore. You need to get to the next aid station if you're at all capable of doing so.
If you are uncrewed and need to DNF, just be aware that we don't have enough volunteers to just drive you around to Valentine or get you to where you want to go. You are kind of going to become at the mercy of the aid stations. And as those aid stations move along, as we're able to make room for you, get you transported, we will get you to the finish, but be prepared to hunker down for a while until we have the ability to get you to the end. It could take anywhere up to 24 hours. We'll try to get you somewhere comfy, cozy, but we can't always guarantee that.
Yeah, if you're a 200-mile runner that DNFs in the first half of the race and you don't have crew, by the time you get to Bolo or to the finish line where your vehicle is, 24 hours is the minimum amount of time it'll take. It could take in upwards of 2 days, because you're going to, like Casey said, you're going to move how the aid stations move. If you want to try to call someone, if you want to try to get an Uber, which there isn't really much in that area, then you can do that.
We know other runners have had success in the past by throwing some cash at other crew members, and they will get you where you need to go to. Some of them are pretty nice and are willing to do that.
But do not ask our volunteers.
They can't.
Because they are not taking you anywhere. They're going to stay with the aid station. What else? Emergency contact number. I talked about that. Crew. Let's go into crew, because we always get questions about this every year as far as where they're allowed and where they're not allowed. First of all, crew is not allowed in Stewart. Crew can go to the bunkhouse in Long Pine, but they can't go inside. There's just not enough room inside this year for the crew to go in there. The bunkhouse is not a free place for crew to chill or sleep. The bunkhouse is only for runners to sleep in. But crew can't go in there at all. They can meet their runner outside of the bunkhouse and help them however they might need, but they can't go inside. And then lastly, and this has been hammered down numerous times, as well as in the runner's manual, there's no crew allowed at the unmanned aid stations. Crew is only allowed at manned aid stations. We're traveling along the Cowboy Trail almost the entire duration of the race, as are some other volunteers. We should never see crew parked at an unmanned aid station.
Or anywhere along the course.
Yeah, or anywhere along the highway, the course. If we see a runner getting helped by their crew outside of a manned aid station, then they're going to be disqualified, because we have just hammered this home so many times. Everybody knows the rules. If you do it any other way, you're purposely cheating.
And since there is a cash prize, it's even more important.
So no reason for crew to be at those unmanned stations even to cheer. Just there's plenty of places, plenty of manned aid stations where the crew can do that and see their runners. So please just keep that in mind. We're not going to have much leniency on that if it happens.
Hmm. As far as parking for crew goes, there are a few specific aid stations that have some parking restrictions that I'm going to get into real quick. The first one is going to be Neely at the mill. In the past, we've just been able to kind of free for all parking anywhere. This year, they're requesting that crew members park in the large open lot across the street to the north of the mill. It's huge. There's plenty of parking. It's right across the street. You can just bring your stuff over to crew your runner. The next place is going to be O'Neill. There's about 15 parking spots at the O'Neill aid station. If that gets full, you're going to need to park across the street at the community center. It's a huge parking lot. If you have a camper, that's where you're going to want to park anyways. The next one's going to be in Bassett. The aid station is at the fire hall. However, the fire department needs to be able to get in and out of there relatively easy should a fire happen. That means you need to park along Clark Street, or they said across from the fire hall is the Legion. You can park there as well.
One other change from the previous 2 years is, and we did put this in the manual, we've been very clear about it, is that there's H2O only at unmanned aid stations. You'll have the Proxima C, endurance fuel, electrolytes, carbohydrates at all manned aid stations, but at unmanned, it's going to be water. I guess kind of building off of that, make sure you're taking enough liquid with you and enough calories with you. So many people, especially people who are attempting their first time 100, 200, want to save every ounce that they can by not taking enough water. I've been there.
Done it, yeah.
It's never worth it. If you run out of water, that can be absolutely devastating. It's going to be warm during the day. You're going to be sweating. Take enough water. Take enough electrolytes. Take too much, if anything, and then adjust from there. So, I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Tried to keep it as short as we could. I know don't want to sound overly picky or anything like that, but we just wanted to go over the rules. Thank you all so much for joining us again, and or for your first time. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you all on either Thursday
or Friday or Saturday. If what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, if there are any questions that you have after watching the video and reading the runner's manual that haven't been answered, please shoot us a message or an email. Now I think we can stop the video. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.